Welcome to Rahim Academy. In this quick revision video, we'll learn the full chapter, The Human Eye and the Colorful World, in an easy and exam-focused way. From how the eye works to why the sky is blue, we've got you covered. Let's begin. Let's understand an amazing feature of our eyes, something we use every second without even thinking about it. It's called the power of accommodation. The human eye has a natural ability to adjust its focus so we can see both near and far objects clearly. This is done by changing the shape of the eye lens, and that's where the ciliary muscles come in. When we look at a distant object, the ciliary muscles relax. This makes the eye lens thin and flat, increasing its focal length, the distance at which light rays are brought into focus. Because distant objects send nearly parallel rays, the thin lens can easily focus them on the retina. But when we suddenly shift our gaze to something very close, like reading a book or using our phone, the eye does something incredible. The ciliary muscles contract, which makes the lens thicker and more curved, decreasing the focal length. This allows the eye to bend the light rays coming from a nearby object and again focus them perfectly on the retina. This quick adjustment of the lens shape, depending on how far or near the object is what we call accommodation. There are also two important terms to know here. The far point of a normal human eye is at infinity, which means we can see very far objects clearly. The near point is the minimum distance at which we can see clearly without strain, and for a normal eye, it is about 25 centimeters. While the human eye is an amazing organ, sometimes it doesn't work perfectly for everyone. That's where defects of vision come in, and thankfully, each one can be corrected with the right type of lens. Let's understand the 4 common vision problems in a simple way. The first defect is called myopia, or nearsightedness. In this case, a person can see nearby objects clearly, but distant objects appear blurry. Why does this happen? It usually occurs when the eyeball is too long or the eye lens is too curved. As a result, the image of a distant object forms in front of the retina instead of on it. The correction? A concave lens, which diverges the light rays and moves the image back onto the retina. Next is hypermetropia, or farsightedness. This is the opposite of myopia. The person can see distant objects clearly but struggles with nearby ones, like reading or writing. Here, the eye lens is not curved enough or the eyeball is too short, so the image of nearby objects forms behind the retina. To correct this, a convex lens is used, which converges the light rays sooner so the image forms directly on the retina. As people age, they may experience a third defect called presbyopia. This is a natural part of aging and happens due to the weakening of ciliary muscles and loss of flexibility in the eye lens. People with presbyopia have trouble seeing nearby objects clearly, and sometimes even distant ones. That's why many older people use bifocal lenses, with the upper part for distance vision and the lower part for near vision. Finally, there's astigmatism. This defect causes blurred or distorted vision because the cornea or lens is irregularly shaped. It prevents the eye from focusing light evenly on the retina. People with astigmatism might see vertical lines clearly but horizontal lines blurry, or vice versa. The solution here is a cylindrical lens, which helps light focus properly depending on the direction of the distortion. So, whether it's difficulty seeing near or far, or trouble with specific lines, science gives us the right lens to bring everything back into focus. With the help of these corrections, people can enjoy clear, sharp vision once again. Let's take a moment to go a little deeper into something we all eventually face with age, a condition called cataract. But before that, let's quickly remind ourselves about the power of accommodation. As we discussed earlier, the eye adjusts its lens shape to focus on objects at different distances. This is called the power of accommodation. It happens thanks to the ciliary muscles, which relax or contract to make the lens thinner or thicker. This is how we are able to shift our focus from something far away, like the blackboard, to something near, like a book, instantly. But as we grow older, this amazing flexibility of the eye reduces. One common age-related condition is cataract. In cataract, the eye lens becomes cloudy or opaque. This prevents light from passing clearly through the lens, and as a result, vision becomes blurry, dim, or foggy, almost like looking through a dusty window. Cataracts usually develop slowly and can affect one or both eyes. It is not related to infection or injury, but mostly due to aging. Because the lens becomes less transparent, it cannot focus light properly on the retina, and even glasses or lenses cannot help. The good news? Cataracts can be treated through surgery. In a cataract surgery, the cloudy natural lens is removed and replaced with a clear artificial lens. After this procedure, most people regain clear vision. So, while the eye has an amazing ability to adjust and focus, over time its parts, like the lens and muscles, may weaken. Conditions like cataract remind us how important eye care is, and how modern science offers solutions that restore our vision and quality of life. The far point of a normal human eye is at infinity, which means we can see very far objects clearly. The near point is the minimum distance at which we can see clearly without strain, and for a normal eye, it is about 25 centimeters. Now let's take a detailed look at some of the most common defects of vision, and how they are caused, corrected, and how they affect the way we see. The first defect is called myopia, or nearsightedness. In this condition, a person can see nearby objects clearly but not distant ones. The far point is closer than it should be. Myopia happens due to excessive curvature of the eye lens or an elongated eyeball. Because of this, light rays from distant objects focus in front of the retina, making distant vision blurry. To correct this, we use a concave lens, which diverges the rays so they can focus properly on the retina. Next is hypermetropia, or far-sightedness. In this case, a person can see far objects clearly, but near objects appear blurry. The near point is farther than the normal 25 centimeters. This defect happens when the eye lens is too flat or the eyeball is too short, causing the image to form behind the retina. The correction? A convex lens, which converges the light rays to bring the image forward onto the retina. The third defect is presbyopia, a common age-related issue. As people grow older, their ciliary muscles weaken and the flexibility of the lens reduces, making it harder to focus on nearby objects. The near point moves farther away, and the person may need to hold reading materials at a distance. To correct this, bifocal lenses are used, with the upper part for distant vision and the lower part for reading. Then comes astigmatism. This defect causes a person to see blurry or distorted images because the cornea or lens is irregularly shaped. A person with astigmatism cannot focus on both horizontal and vertical lines at the same time. They may see one clearly and the other blurred. The solution is a cylindrical lens, which adjusts the focus in one specific direction, making the vision sharp again. So, whether it's reading a book, watching a board from a distance, or dealing with age-related changes, each defect has a clear cause, and science gives us the exact lens to fix it. Understanding these defects helps us appreciate the wonderful design of our eyes and the smart solutions that restore clear vision. Let's now understand how eye defects actually affect vision using diagrams. On the left, you can see illustrations of two common defects, hypermetropia and myopia, and how they are corrected. In a hypermetropic eye, the image of a nearby object forms behind the retina. This happens because the eyeball is too short or the lens is too flat. We correct this using a convex lens, which converges the light rays and brings the image forward onto the retina. On the other hand, in myopia or nearsightedness, the image of distant objects forms in front of the retina, due to an elongated eyeball or overly curved lens. Here, we use a concave lens, which diverges the incoming light rays so they focus correctly on the retina. Now let's quickly talk about another eye condition, cataract. Cataract is not a refractive error like myopia or hypermetropia. It's a condition where the natural lens of the eye becomes cloudy or opaque. This causes blurry or unclear vision. Cataracts are most common in older people and are usually caused by age-related weakening of the eye muscles and the lens. Thankfully, cataracts can be completely treated by surgery, where the cloudy lens is removed and replaced with an artificial one. And before we wrap up this section, here's an interesting question. Why are human eyes located in the front of the face, and not on the sides like some animals? There are some important advantages to this design. It gives us a wider field of view in front. It helps us detect faint or faraway objects more easily. Most importantly, it provides a three-dimensional view, allowing us to judge depth and distance, which is very helpful in daily life, especially while walking, driving, or playing sports. So whether it's eye defects or the structure of the face, every feature in our vision system is wonderfully designed and scientifically explained. Let's now understand one of the most fascinating light phenomena: refraction through a prism and the dispersion of white light. First, what is a prism? A prism is a transparent, triangular piece of glass or plastic with two triangular bases and three rectangular lateral surfaces. When light passes through it, it bends or refracts, because it travels from one medium to another, from air into glass, and then back into air. Now, what exactly happens when light enters a prism? When a ray of light, called the incident ray, enters the prism, it slows down and bends towards the normal. This is the first refraction. Then, when the light exits the prism, it bends again, this time away from the normal, and this is the second refraction. The overall bending from the original direction is called the angle of deviation. A very special thing happens when white light, like sunlight, passes through a prism. Instead of staying white, it splits into 7 colors. This is called the dispersion of light. Why does this happen? Because white light is actually made of 7 different colors, and each color has a different wavelength and refractive index. When they enter the prism, they bend at different angles. Violet bends the most and red bends the least, forming a rainbow-like spectrum. This band of colors is called a spectrum, and the sequence always goes from violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, to red, or vibgyor. To recap, dispersion is the splitting of white light into colors. It happens because each color travels through the prism at a different speed. The prism's shape and angles help spread the colors out clearly. So, with just a simple triangular prism, we get to see the magic hiding inside white light, a full rainbow waiting to be revealed. Now let's explore the most beautiful natural phenomenon in this chapter, the rainbow, and how it connects to the concept of dispersion of light. We begin with a classic experiment by Sir Isaac Newton. He passed white light through a prism, which split it into 7 colors. This is called dispersion. But Newton didn't stop there. He used a second, inverted prism to recombine those 7 colors back into white light. This proved that white light is actually a mixture of all colors, specifically, the 7 colors of the visible spectrum. Any light that produces a similar color pattern or spectrum, like sunlight, is called white light. When it passes through a transparent medium like a prism or water droplets, the light bends differently for each color, separating them. This brings us to the natural spectrum we see in the sky, the rainbow. A rainbow forms when sunlight hits tiny water droplets in the atmosphere after it rains. Each droplet acts like a tiny prism. The process follows 4 key steps. First, refraction of sunlight as it enters the droplet. Then, dispersion of white light into its 7 colors inside the droplet. Next, internal reflection. The light bounces off the inner surface of the droplet. Finally, refraction again, as the light exits the droplet and enters the air. This entire process causes sunlight to spread into a band of colors in the sky, a rainbow. The color sequence of a rainbow is always the same: vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Here's something cool. Red appears at the top because it bends the least, as it has the longest wavelength, while violet bends the most and appears at the bottom because it has the shortest wavelength. Also remember, rainbows always appear in the direction opposite to the sun. So next time you see a rainbow, just know that it's not magic, it's beautiful science, with water droplets acting as nature's tiny prisms. Now let's talk about something amazing: how our Earth's atmosphere bends light and creates visual effects we see every day without even realizing it. This phenomenon is called atmospheric refraction. Atmospheric refraction is the bending of light as it passes through different layers of the Earth's atmosphere. These layers have varying optical densities due to differences in temperature and pressure, so light slows down and bends as it moves through them. This bending causes 3 major effects. Let's understand them one by one. First, why do stars twinkle? Stars twinkle because the light from a star bends slightly as it enters Earth's atmosphere. Since the atmosphere is constantly moving and its density keeps changing, the star's light keeps shifting slightly, making the star appear to flicker or twinkle. This effect is called scintillation, and it's a direct result of atmospheric refraction. Now, let's look at advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. Have you ever noticed that the sun seems to rise earlier than it actually should, and sets a little later? That's also because of atmospheric refraction. Light from the sun bends downward as it enters the Earth's atmosphere, making the sun appear above the horizon even when it's actually still below it. This makes the sun visible about 2 minutes before actual sunrise and 2 minutes after actual sunset. It also causes the sun's disk to appear flattened when it's near the horizon. Lastly, let's answer an interesting question: why don't planets twinkle like stars? The answer lies in distance. Planets are much closer to Earth than stars, and they appear as extended sources of light, not single points. So, even if their light bends slightly, the effect averages out across the surface, and we don't notice flickering. That's why planets shine steadily, while stars twinkle. So in summary, atmospheric refraction not only explains twinkling stars and early sunrises, but also helps us understand how our sky plays visual tricks, all thanks to the bending of light. Let's finish this chapter with one of the most interesting concepts, scattering of light, which explains some of the most beautiful sights in nature. Scattering of light happens when light is absorbed by tiny particles in the atmosphere and then re-emitted in different directions. This scattered light reaches our eyes and creates colorful effects in the sky. Let's start with why the sky is blue. Sunlight is made up of many colors, but when it enters the Earth's atmosphere, it strikes small gas molecules and blue light gets scattered the most. That's because blue light has a shorter wavelength than red or other colors. So, during the day, we see blue light coming from all directions, making the sky appear blue. Now let's move to another question. Why is the sun red during sunrise and sunset? During sunrise and sunset, sunlight has to travel a longer distance through the atmosphere to reach us. Along the way, most of the blue and violet light gets scattered away, and only the red and orange light, which has a longer wavelength, is able to reach our eyes. This makes the sun look red or orange during those times. Finally, we come to the Tyndall effect, a special kind of scattering that happens when light passes through a colloid or very fine particles in the air. You've probably seen this when sunlight passes through mist, smoke, or a forest canopy. The path of the light becomes visible. Smaller particles scatter blue light. Larger particles scatter red light. This effect is also used in laboratories to detect the presence of particles in liquids and gases. So, whether you're looking at a blue sky, a red sunset, or sun rays in the fog, you're actually watching scattered sunlight, playing with particles in the air. Nature's science is truly beautiful. Dear students and learners, we sincerely appreciate you joining us for this fascinating lesson on the human eye and the colorful world. Through this session, you've explored the incredible workings of the human eye, the science behind vision, and the magic of light and colors that shape our world. Small diamond, you've learned the structure and function of the human eye, how light enables us to see colors and objects, common vision defects and their corrections, the science behind rainbows, scattering of light, and atmospheric phenomena. Your curiosity and dedication to understanding these concepts inspire us to keep creating engaging and high-quality educational content. We hope this lesson has not only strengthened your academic knowledge but also deepened your appreciation for the wonders of science. Books keep exploring. Revisit the lesson anytime for revision. Try the quizzes and activities to test your understanding. Stay tuned for more exciting topics on Rahim Academy. If you enjoyed this lesson, share it with friends and classmates who might find it helpful. Together, let's make learning fun and accessible for everyone. Thank you for choosing Rahim Academy, where learning comes to life. Glowing star, stay curious, keep learning, and see you in the next lesson. Glow